my house, and I remember as I turned down my street, ambulance is passing me. So, I continued to the house, and, my wife is there, and she's very, upset. And Sophia, she had died while she was sleeping. And no one expects, your young child or your baby to die before you. At that point, we didn't know that she had died because they took her in the ambulance to the hospital. And I remember we got in the car, and again, we were speeding and sliding all over the place. And alhamdulillah, Allah, He protected us, because really, we could have really been hurt the way the car was sliding around and almost hitting other cars until we got to the hospital. And it was really, something was really in my mind, because I told you we had been studying a lot about Islam. And I remember there was a hadith that says there's a reward for the person who's patient when the news of a calamity or something comes to them. And that reward is in the first instance of hearing the news, not later after you had time to settle down. So I remember the doctor, he came and told me that, that Sophia had died. And I remember I almost was going to fall down, and I kind of remembered that hadith. And I remember I stood back up because I remember that hadith, and I wanted Allah's reward for being patient in that moment. And I told my wife that the baby had died. And I remember someone came to us and said, do you want to have a chaplain to come? And I said, no, we're Muslim, we'll have our Imam to come. And he did. So, we felt everything was going good for us, and then we were tested with that. And I think it only was because of Islam that I was, and my family was able to be patient with that. And all that was here in Atlanta. And I remember that we were insistent that they didn't do any kind of autopsy or something like that. And the people at the hospital were very nice. They let us take her body, not from you usually have to be a funeral director to take a body from the hospital. But we told them they're Muslim. They let us take her in the bassinet, and we came here right to her house, which is right here. And we just cleaned her and shrouded her, and we buried her here, and not too far from this mosque. And I remember when we buried her, that all of the neighbors, Muslims, non-Muslims, so many people, they came. And this is just why I say that, because alhamdulillah today, we have many children today, and that's something you think you can never get over, the feeling of that time of losing a child. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, he said to the companions one time that the Muslims are like a tree. He was asking them a question, which one? And the answer was it's like the date palm tree, because the date palm tree is very strong. It can bend a lot, but it doesn't break. It comes back. And you don't appreciate the wisdom of some of the things until it happens to you. When you're bending, you might not get it. But once you come back straight, you realize that, Islam is the truth, but every now and then things come to reconfirm to you that Islam is the truth. So, this was the place where the genesis of me really becoming a Muslim starts. And from that point, after coming back from Saudi Arabia, I've always wanted to return to Saudi Arabia. I remember being on the roof of the building where I was living, and I remember asking Allah to make my wife Muslim and to let me bring my family back to Saudi Arabia. So alhamdulillah, we've been there now for 10 years, and we have lots of beautiful children, alhamdulillah. So that's just my story. I don't really like to talk about it, but it's just coming back to this place. You have to remember Allah's favors and His mercies on you. There are many people living in America and different places in the world wish they could live in Saudi Arabia, wish they could have their children in a place where they can learn Arabic and speak Arabic fluently. And alhamdulillah, Allah, He made it easy for us. So just to remind yourself of where you came from. And you know, when you ask Allah something, you may forget about it. And then until you don't remember it, till after some time has passed, you know. And that's exactly what happened. One of the brothers I went on Hajj with when I was there at that time, when we were on Arafah, we made dua, you know. He made dua that his mother and his sister come to Islam. Alhamdulillah, they came to Islam. I made dua that my wife become Muslim and that we be able to live in Saudi Arabia. Alhamdulillah, that came. But we weren't even thinking about it, you know, until we reminded each other, you know. And the Prophet ﷺ said the reminder benefits the believer. So that's just my story. I hope that maybe people can benefit from that one. And inshallah, as my story is just one of the many stories of the Muslims in America. I hope we've been able to separate the fact from the fiction, the truth from the falsehoods, and the myths from the realities, and leave you with a positive understanding about Islam and Muslims. And I invite you to join us as we continue to travel throughout the world of Islam, keeping it real by telling the stories which must be told. And I ask you all to remember the very important rule: don't judge Islam by the people, but judge the people by Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.